I am Arunachala. Geologists say I am many million years old as the earth. There are others who think I am as old as the universe, as old as time and space. Some of them have come in search of me over the centuries.
Shortly before his 16th birthday, young Venkataraman first heard the name Arunachala, a sacred hill in the northern region of Tamil Nadu. Upon hearing the word Arunachala, Venkataraman spontaneously exclaimed, "What? From Arunachala? Where is that?" The surprised relative explained that Arunachala is the same place as Tiruvannamalai, the small hamlet that has been both a religious center and home to saints and sages over the centuries. It is very rare for one to realize his true nature in a spontaneous and almost effortless manner. But one day, a sudden and intense fear of death gripped the consciousness of Venkataraman, who outwardly was like any other normal, healthy 16-year-old boy. The young man's life was completely changed. No longer interested in worldly things, he secretly left home for the sacred hill Arunachala, which had reverberated in his consciousness some months earlier. He later referred to his state at this time. "When I left home, I was like a speck swept on by a tremendous flood. I knew not my body or the world, whether it was day or night." For young Venkataraman, there was nothing more to attain. He was already a self-realized person living in complete identity with the Absolute, absorbed in supreme consciousness with no thought of the body.
The sage and his beloved mountain, inseparable, the mightiness of the hill perfectly matched by the spiritual might of the sage. What was the relationship between both? Revered as the mountain of fire and representing the element of Agni, Arunachala symbolizes the highest knowledge, the very core of the Upanishads. Arunachala, being one of the oldest rock formations on earth, reinforces the ancient tradition that holds this mountain to be most sacred. According to the Puranas, since the very beginning of creation, those who seek the highest truth have been drawn inexorably by the deep mystical quality of the mountain and its timeless spiritual resplendence. Arunachala Mahatmyam states that this mountain is Lord Shiva himself, and that just to think of Arunachala sets one on the path to liberation. It also clearly states that only those whom Shiva calls can come here, and this was verified by Sri Ramana Maharshi himself.
So what Ramana Maharshi said was that there is a silent transmission that emanates from this mountain that quiets the mind and opens the heart. Clearly, anybody who's been here knows that's not just theory.
In 1947 was the first I had seen or heard of Ramana Maharshi. And as I said, I had always wanted to go to India, and I was searching for a guru, but I stopped here and there and every place, and finally I ended up at Sri Aurobindo's at Pondicherry. And someone says, I think you might be looking for Ramana Maharshi in Tiruvannamalai. I said, okay, so I took one of these wonderful buses. And while I was riding on the bus, I'd sort of in a state of reverie, and there appeared to me this beautiful face with these big, luminous eyes that look right through you. And so when I got to Ramana Maharshi, there was the same picture, the same face that I had seen in my state of reverie. And I was really, really shocked. So I figured, well, here's where I'm going to unpack my one little bag and spend the rest of my life. When I sat in the Maharshi's presence, I felt that I was in a great white light. And then it seemed that within me, all these so-called problems I thought I had, they just vanish. And you went through a cleansing process, and I think to myself, what was I so concerned about? It doesn't really matter. Nothing matters, but who am I? Who is this? What is this presence, this entity, what have you call it? When I have questions, I don't ask him anything verbally because it isn't necessary. The questions that you ask are answered almost immediately, so that it's a mind-to-mind connection rather than verbal, because speech just gets in your way. And so I would feel, as the days go by, I would feel these questions being answered, and it would just be a slow cleansing of my entire being. He must have been suffering. And yet all during his illness, those eyes just never lost their luminosity. And it's as though Bhagwan's body and his essence were two separate. And so he just ignored the body. To try to describe the presence of Ramana Maharshi in words is very, very difficult, because you feel his presence, you feel his luminosity, you feel his greatness, you feel that the whole world is there. He is trying to impart the entire world to you, and the real reality of who you really are. And you just sit there awed by the light in his eyes and his being. It's just as though someone had turned on a bright light, and there is this person with a beautiful aura, the whole body, as though it were transformed into light.
Behind the ashram rose the twin peaks of Arunachala, the Hill of Light, sacred throughout the Tamil country, the mere name of which had magically drawn the 17-year-old Ramana to the spot some 50 years earlier. It was larger and run on very different lines to Ananda ashram. As wandering ascetics, Satchipriya and I were relegated to the non-Brahmin side of the partitioned dining hall. Darshan at the ashram was truly a memorable experience. Sitting there with Satchipriya, I felt a stream of purity flow over me, until body, mind, thought and emotion had all been washed away, and there remained nothing but a great shining peace. With the Maharishi's blessing, we established ourselves in Virupaksha cave, named for the saint who had lived 500 or 600 years ago and had been buried there. Much of the space was occupied by Virupaksha's tomb, on which we slept at night. Chanting our new Avalokiteshvara mantra, both to ourselves and together, to a tune of Satchipriya's devising, we left the cave only every 2 or 3 days. Most of our time was devoted to meditation. One night I found myself, as it were, out of the body, and in the presence of Amitabha. The colour of the Buddha was a deep, rich, luminous red, like that of rubies, yet soft and glowing, like the light of the setting sun, and more wonderful than any earthly red. I was now convinced our 2 years' apprenticeship in the holy life had come to an end, and we would retrace our steps to North India and seek formal ordination there.
Arunachala. Here, sages have lived and have imbued the very rocks with their spiritual life, and even more, with the mystery of a presence. I regard this stay at the holy mountain as an initiation into Indian monastic life. I had, of course, heard people speaking of Ramana Maharshi, who had lived there for more than 50 years. I gazed intensely at this old man of 70, with his gentle face and beautiful eyes. But what lay behind them? In every action, in all willing, in all thinking, ask yourself a question. Who is thinking? Who's willing? Who is acting? Who am I? It was a call which pierced through everything, rent it in pieces, and opened a mighty abyss. "26th of December 1951. I have celebrated Christmas all alone in my wood, but on such a day how painful it is to feel that my beloved brothers do not share in the profound joy which I feel in the depth of my heart. The further I go, the more I feel this gulf between Hindu brothers and myself, the church. I'd like to throw a bridge across it, but don't know where to fasten it. The walls are too smooth. Next spring, I can again respond to the call of the mountain. My friends misunderstand its attraction for me. Reached Tiru on March 4th. Moved into a cave on the 5th. Evening. There is a mystery about Arunachala. solitude, silence, poverty. In my practice of all this, up till now, I have merely been playing at it. Here I meet with the real thing, and I am becoming aware of what I need if my experience is to be complete. A call to total poverty, which is a call to total freedom. For the only man who is free is he who has nothing, absolutely nothing that he can call his own. A few months earlier, I had adopted the robe of the sannyasi, the sign in India of ultimate renunciation. Perhaps if I had waited for a few years, I should never have had the audacity to wear it. Arunachala will call me back. More and more I dread Shantivanam. Where is the Lord taking me? I was thinking this morning that if I could be convinced that Ramana was right, nothing whatever could stop me from retiring to Arunachala in total poverty, immersed in the inner life. Then I should no longer have my great source of embarrassment, this feeling of ambiguity of my Hinduism and my poverty being a mere facade. Once again in the cave since yesterday evening. Here at least I feel in my element. There is no room at one and the same time for God and for myself. If God exists, then I am not. If I exist, then how could God be? The Hindu is right. God is within me, in my deepest and innermost center, where I am most truly myself. Going to meet God has nothing to do with going somewhere outside myself. 28th of March 1953. Such a strange but impressive meeting with Sri Harilal. Abandoned prayer in favor of meditation. Abandoned study for thinking. Abandoned thinking for the void for what is beyond the void. You say that you are a Christian. That is meaningless at the stage you have reached. You need only one thing: free yourself from the last bonds which are holding you back. You are ready for it. Penetrate into the guha, the cave of your heart, and there realize that you are Tatvamasi. You are that. Alone with God, that means alone with yourself. Dare to face God in coming face to face with yourself. Arunachala Shiv. Christian sannyas, I am astonished to discover that by burying myself in the caves of Arunachala, I have penetrated to the very heart of Hinduism. The pradakshina consists in making the round of a holy place on foot, keeping it always on the right side. This used to seem to me pure superstition and an outdated survivor from a distant past and from a belief which the course of history had long ago swept away. Later, I came to understand. I discovered a wisdom here that will remain intact when our so-called modern times have been quite forgotten. Last day on the mountain. Tomorrow I shall have to leave. I must accept a total immersion in the self. Even so, before my mass this morning, I softly intoned the blessing of palms, sang the hymn, All glory, Lord, and honor. Nostalgia for a time that has passed away, like the joys of childhood, to which the adult can never return. The abyss has swallowed me up too deeply, the abyss of the self.
Gave the cup to his disciples and said, "Take this."
Saturday morning, back to Shantivanam. Here I remain half asleep. How can I wake up again there? Time has passed.
For all men, so that sins may be forgiven. Do this in memory of me.
As things are at present, the only alternatives open to me are Shantivanam and Hindu sannyas. This morning, once again at Arunachala, the door of my cave is shut, but how strongly it calls me. Walked around the mountain, slept in the court of the temple. This mountain is Shiva himself, in the form of a linga.
As a spiritual seeker, Swamiji had also spent much time at this ashram in Tiruvannamalai at the feet of the great saint Ramana Maharshi. He was there until just 7 days before he left his physical body. In the nearby town of Thiruvannamali, we were fortunate enough to be there on the great Festival of Lights. Swamiji and disciples watched from the temple roof as thousands joined in the celebration. Chanting went on all day as many more thousands climbed to the top of the hill.
Arunachala is not just a hill. It means so many things, lots of things which I can't put in words. I have realized Arunachala is Ramana, who is my own self, everybody's own self. Love everybody, unconditionally. Unconditionally. I keep telling myself, I love those who love me, I love those who hate me. I love those who humiliate me, abuse me, spread false things against me. I love those who say nice things about me. I love those who want me to live. I love those who want me to die. When you say I and you are very sick. Sorry, very sick. It's madness. When I say I and you, it is madness, stark madness. When you are free from madness, there is no I and you. Everybody wants, because everybody wants to be happy. Free happiness is possible when you are free. And mind is bondage. Because mind is falsehood. And freedom is truth. Mind is self-deception. When there is no I, there is love. So somehow you have to get rid of. That is sadhana. Even now, you see, at my body-mind level, I am suffering.
Does it mean self-inquiry meditation?
Not necessary. Meditation is not for all. I am not a meditator. I am an inquirer. I am very happy inquiring. Some people sit, for some girls I find, 18, 20, 22. Very good, I can't do. But 24 hours inquiry.
It means?
Inquiry means when the thought of my body, my KVS comes or suffering comes, I ask to whom is the suffering. I was telling.
And the answer?
Answer is, there is suffering, there is no sufferer. Es gibt Leiden, aber es gibt keinen Leidender. There is suffering, but there is no sufferer.
Do you have any idea what can happen after death?
I don't believe in this after death. To me the question is there life before death? That's all.
It is a wonderful place, and I myself found the attraction of Thiruvannamali to me was 1,000 times far more potent than that of the Himalayas. And then from the scientific point of view, see, there are what are known as alpha rays, beta rays and all that. When a man goes into the samadhi state, that high ecstasy, they have found that some alpha rays or something are all more there. Normally these rays are emitted by radioactive substances like thorium and all that, which are all used for the atomic bombs and all those things, atomic things. But I read an article long back, some scientists had written, from that particular mountain, plenty of those waves are coming all along. And that is why when you go, you enjoy it. In the radioactive substances, you cannot expose yourself to alpha waves because you expose yourself to great danger. The radioactive level increases, means the cancer will come on the skin and you are gone. So you cannot enjoy it. Here is a case where the pure alpha waves are in plenty. So Bhagavan Ramana has told you just to come round the hill all your lifetime, once a day even, you will get your moksha automatically like. This is what he had told. And a person came to Ramana, he said, sir, I got a lot to discuss with you, I got a lot of problems. He said, look here, this group of people are going for a parikrama, for a perambulation of the mountain. You go along with them and come back, I will give you enough time, we can discuss. He went along and came back after about 3 hours. He was sitting. He never talked. Suddenly Ramana, hey, what about your questions? He laughed, he said, they have all disappeared, sir, in this perambulation. This is what happened. So, scientifically, spiritually, somehow it's my own personal experience that I found that Arunachala is far more helpful to a normal man in the modern days than any. I have seen a number of young boys coming. Yesterday, when Dr. Santosh came, he is there in the micro or somewhere, he is a company doctor. He He wanted to stay with me yesterday night. He stayed throughout the night. Early morning, 4:30, he left. Throughout the night he was talking. He used to come to Ramanasramam a lot. Young fellow, he is not married. Similarly, there is one Arjun Warrior. He used to come all the way. He's a chartered accountant. He has not gone for any job in the 3 years. All his people, his younger brother, elder brother, 2 elder brothers, his father, his grandfather, they're all chartered accountant. They're running their own company. This fellow doesn't want to be with them, and he's coming every week to Arunachala. He's spending time. What do these young men find? They're sitting in that meditation hall where Bhagavan Ramana had lived for 32 years, and then they find something which they have never come across in their life, a sort of a peace or whatever it is like, and they are all agog with interest to gain more of those experiences. Very often they are going there, their mothers are distracted. This Santosh mother came day first day. She was feeling it was high time he should marry. That's what is happening. So that place is something which is astonishingly stupendous in its spiritual powers. It can elevate everybody. There is even a Jada can become a Chaitanya there. That's what I feel like.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.
How my heart aches when you look my way. Everything starts to shake more. I can't wait